Hello, everyone. It's Father Alexander.
And it's the Reverend David Marshall, and it's Christmas.
Exactly. And guess what? It is now time for our second part of our two-parter. Who'd have thought in season two we'd already have a two-part episode? But
Hey, well,
it's because December 24th is Advent 4 and Christmas Eve. And so we talked a little bit about Christmas Eve. We got a little more into the virginity of the Virgin Mary than I wanted to, but that was good stuff. But the most important part is the to be continued, and we are now at the to be continued. A quick point, though, for many preachers on Christmas Eve, this is something that you have reiterated to me, and you have a wonderful story that I'm going to ask you to tell in a moment. But for me, bridging my understanding of the sermon that needs to be preached on Christmas Eve is realizing the liturgy is the sermon. The hymns are the sermon for
mhm.
that. And most people will not remember what you preached on Christmas Eve. And why is that, Dave?
Why? Well, I can't tell you why that is, but I can tell you the wisdom that came to me for that.
Well,
So,
one of the individuals who you quote will tell you.
yes, exactly right. Father Jack Dempsey, retired U.S. Navy chaplain, Episcopal priest. It was my first Christmas Eve that I was preaching. I was super nervous, and he said, because I was looking at the church, watching all the people come in, and he's like, "There's a lot of people out there." And by the way, that's how that's not me making fun of him. That's
Yeah.
his voice after years. Anyway, and so I said, "Yeah, there's a lot of people." He said, "Well, I can tell you one thing." I said, "What's that?" "They're not here to hear you preach." So
Harsh.
I've held on to that, Jack, because it is entirely true. And I looked at him, and then the other clergy were in shock and like, "Jack, how can you say that?" He said, "It's true. They're here to get communion, to sing Silent Night, and to go home. That's why they're here." And it is true. It takes a Navy chaplain to tell me that. So the sermons I preach on Christmas Eve now are 3 to 5 minutes. They're relatively simple, and I try to grab onto something and to pass it along because, Alex, you're absolutely correct. The sermon is the lectionary. The sermon is the readings. The sermon is Silent Night. It's a whole service.
Yeah, and the reason I say that is not to say that we shouldn't get up and preach, that we shouldn't break open the text or proclaim the gospel. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm saying that really, Christmas is about encountering Christ. And in what ways do we encounter Christ as liturgical Christians? We encounter him in the readings that we hear, that are proclaimed to us, that are read to us. We hear in the beautiful words of the liturgy of communion. We also hear in the hymns that are sung. The Christmas hymns in the 1982 hymnal, they're classic. They're wonderful, and some of them were written by wonderful Episcopalians and Anglicans. So
Mm-hmm.
to me, I recognize that what can I add to this that isn't already there? What can I
Mm-hmm.
truly add to this? And so as you think about what you may be wanting to preach on for Christmas Eve, use the setting. For instance, we use darkness and light, not just at the Easter Vigil, but we use it at the Christmas Eve service to signify the light of Christ coming into the world. We are human beings. We have five senses, that are available to us to have interaction with. And even if one of those senses is not available to us, the other senses are surely there as well. So it's in that spirit of saying, you know, what can you really preach on, that I have the question that I've been waiting to ask you, Dave, which I know that you want to
Mm-hmm.
answer, which is, what's your favorite Christmas movie and how does it relate to Christmas?
Thank you. I have many favorite Christmas movies. Um, but the one that I'm going to tell you about is one that you may not consider to be a Christmas movie, although it entirely 100% is Christmas. So,
All
you
right,
ready for this?
go for it.
The movie is called Castaway by Tom Hanks. In the movie, his character's name is Chuck. He works for FedEx. They're shipping packages globally. He's on one of those planes. They crash. He's the only survivor. He's on a castaway island, and he lives there for 4 years. And you might say, how in the world is this a Christmas movie? So he used the packages. He opened them. He found various things that he could use every day for those 4 years. Every day was a new learning and a new struggle. And the way the movie's framed, it shows that, and it's
Right.
wonderful. He struggles with his own his own mortality. He struggles with depression. He creates a little ball, a volleyball, and that becomes his best friend. And you remember his name?
Wilson.
Wilson, of course. Wilson should have gotten the best supporting actor, in my opinion. And so um, it was great. So, how is this a Christmas movie? There is one package that he does not open. The package has angels' wings on it, and he doesn't open it intentionally because he uses that as hope. This is his hope to get off the island, that he will one day deliver this package. And so he does. He gets on a raft. He's picked up by a cargo ship. He goes home. He meets up with his girlfriend, who hasn't seen her in 4 years. Her name is Kelly, played flawlessly by Helen Hunt, by the way. And Kelly has moved on. She is married. She has a kid, and he's deflated. He's trying to figure out what to do with his life. And then he looked at the package, the one with the angel's wings on it. And he goes to Texas and he knocks on the door, and there's this great, and by the way, I'm going to ruin the end of the movie, but you've had plenty of time to see it. Plenty of time. So he gets there, he knocks on the door, and everybody's waiting for them to answer, and nobody answers. And then he writes on the package, "This package saved my
Life.
life."
Yeah.
It's a Christmas package that we have. This is the packages that we're given. This gift of a birth of our Savior is the package that saves our lives. And it has wings, and angels proclaim it. Such a beautiful Christmas movie, and enjoy it this year. When you have time off for Christmas, watch Castaway. It's fantastic. And remember, this package saved my life.
Well, and not just that. I mean, it takes place during Christmas. The first part of the movie
Sure.
is them trying to plan, and there's something in here that I want to highlight about the Castaway movie and the idea of the package, and that is he's so busy helping other packages get to and from where they're supposed to go. You know, he's
Mhm.
got the stopwatch. That's his job as he works for FedEx, and he has no time to
Right.
truly be present
Nope.
for his girlfriend, for his fiance that he wants to get
Mhm.
married to.
Mhm.
And it's truly only when he is alone, when he has been cast away, that he understands the significance of where he needed to be. And, you know, I love the idea of Christ is this package that wants to come into our lives, and the package needs to be opened,
Mhm.
right? You know,
Well, delivered
baby,
and open. Yes.
a baby comes into our lives and cannot do anything for itself.
Hmm.
It requires care. And so it's kind of this invitation to say, care for me,
Hmm.
and love me because I'm worthy of love.
Right.
So I do consider, Castaway a Christmas movie in the same way that I consider Die Hard a Christmas movie. Uh,
Nice. Me too.
exactly. The gift of justice, you might say, right? Um, um, but what I would say though is that when we begin to take these movies apart, and of course, it's going to fall apart after a little while,
Right.
is to just really be mindful of, how Christ is present for us, and Christ was present with him the entire time he was on that island.
Hmm.
So now it's your turn to ask me.
Alex, what is your favorite Christmas or one of your favorite Christmas movies?
Well, I have a few, and mine is a lot more traditional because it's the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. And the reason that I love this movie is not just because I can watch it at any time,
Hmm.
any day,
Yep.
whenever it turns on, I'll catch it and just keep going with it.
Oh yeah.
But it's because there are times I feel like I am Clark W. Griswold. I want the perfect Christmas, but I
Hmm.
don't want it in just the secular sense. I want it in the spiritual sense. I
Mm.
want, why am I not doing a novena, for the 9 days of before Christmas? Or why have I not gone on a spiritual retreat or why is my family not doing this, and our parish needs to do this. And really, in the movie, he's trying to recapture this Christmas that essentially I don't think ever was.
No.
There was no such thing as a perfect holiday, but he tries to capture it for his family because he wants them to have these memories. And in the end, all he does is alienate people, frustrate himself, and have a meltdown.
Hmm.
And I think as clergy, if we're not careful, if we're trying to have these perfect moments in the liturgy, we're trying to have these perfect moments of worship and celebration, spoiler alert, they're not going to happen. It's just not possible. Something's always going to either go wrong or not be the way that we want. But I can tell you that to me, my favorite Christmas that I ever had here in this parish was a young man who came who was considering whether or not he really wanted to be a Christian. He'd never been baptized.
Mm.
And he chose that moment to come on Christmas Eve to really see if he wanted a connection with Jesus. And I think Lent and Easter were early the next year as well, like in the year coming up.
Right.
And Christmas was the seed that was planted for him to develop that relationship with Jesus Christ, that he was baptized at the Easter Vigil.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So to me, that was the greatest present that I ever got. Not that he did it for me, but that I got to see Christ open his heart and he welcomed Christ in. And so when we have these times where we're going to be having a lot of visitors, we're going to be
Yep.
having a lot of children, hopefully, people who may not have been coming to church for a while, and how do we handle that and conceptualize that? I like to think of it as this is the perfect time to present everyone with the gift that they may not even know that they've been waiting for, the gift of Jesus.
Mhm.
And if he is given to them now, imagine what's going to happen if they accept that gift and that gift continues to grow into the new year.
That's fantastic. So, how do you relate that back to the Griswold family Christmas?
Well, at the end, he realizes that, of course, there's the classic happy ending to the movie, he
Of
gets the
course, right.
Christmas bonus and everything. But I
Yes.
think truly, after he finally lets go of perfection,
Hmm.
he realized it was right in front of him the whole time. It was just the act of being present. Kind of like, for Chuck in Castaway, the act of being present finally brought him to where he needed to be.
Yes, absolutely.
That's one of the
Um,
challenges for us as laypersons, as clergy in the church, is just being present during Christmas.
yes. I also believe that Christmas is an ongoing season. That if we believe in the incarnation, that God came to dwell amongst us, God is still dwelling amongst us. That it's this perpetual season that we're in. Same with the season of resurrection. And that being said, there are several lines from that movie that Christy and I will say during the year. My favorite one is, "I don't know, Margot," and she'll say, "How'd that happen, Todd?"
I
Right?
mean, there's so
Played
much good.
flawlessly by Julia Louis Dreyfus, by the way.
I mean,
So just
there's
one,
there's so much in that movie that just works on so many levels.
it
Um,
does.
you know, and just kind of thinking ahead, when we look at Christmas, we see it often as this culmination of the year because the year's about to end.
Hmm.
I cannot believe we're going to be in 2024 before we know it.
Right.
And a good moment to think about is I'm seeing a lot of these things come up on my Facebook feed where you see a picture of a dog or a cat, and it says, "I'm not a Christmas gift, I'm a member of the family."
Okay.
Right? In other words, if you can't commit to having me for 15 years, like get a stuffed animal instead.
I see. All right.
And one of the things I always kind of want to do is to say, if you're accepting Christ now, just be aware, just be aware. Lent and Easter are around the corner. There may be some turbulent waves. There may be some things that are asked of you and I that we may not be ready for, that Christ will be present with us, but it's going to be a little turbulent and there may be some challenges up ahead. So accept Christ now, but don't think it's always going to be smooth road and perfect sailing. There's going to be challenges in the new year. And the wonderful thing is that Christ himself has said, I will be with you in those challenges.
Yes. So the same can be said of a baby that's born on, say, like Christmas, that
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
more than just a present, right?
Get ready.
Yeah, and that there will be times when, things are a little rough and turbulent with the child, and but to continue holding on.
Exactly.
Can
So
you hear that noise, by the way?
I can hear that someone is knocking around. And for those of you who may hear, I think there's a tree that's being cut down at our parish. So this is just the wonderful work of Advent and Christmas, reminding us that things are to be continued. So
Yes,
as we come to our time together, Dave, as Christmas is really coming very soon,
it
uh,
is, right.
I would like to say that looking back, this year has been a great gift to me. I feel like a lot of wonderful things have happened in our parish, in my life, with my family, with my friendships, and I'm incredibly thankful for those things. And the most that I'm thankful for is each day I wake up and I learn something.
Each day you wake up and you learn something.
Yep,
Okay, good. We're getting a new fire panel installed, and so that's why all this pounding is going on.
and you're
So
thankful for that.
at some point, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, not to head back into Advent, but this is a preparation of like, what if there is a fire? But we're getting that done. Yeah, Alex, you and I have done a lot this in 2023. I think that you and I are closer, certainly as friends and as colleagues. And we're able to do a couple really profound things, in my opinion, for helping clergy who are stressed and burned out and or contemplating that
mhm,
and I'm thrilled about what the new year holds for that. I imagine all of those things will continue. It's been a fantastic church year. This was, I thought, 22 was the year of transition. 23 was still
yeah,
transitioning into this new reality of where we are.
mhm,
And this church, we were figuring it out still. And we are now completely understanding that this online stuff is here to stay, at least here to stay as long as things, in the church, there's nothing that's temporary and there's nothing that's permanent. So, it's where we are now and
right.
it's what we're doing. But I very much appreciate everybody who is following us and listening to us. Certainly appreciate your comments and that we'll be continuing this in the new year. And do you want to talk about what's happening next week?
So next week, Dave's going on a cruise. Jealous, right?
Should be, yeah.
Um,
Perfectly
and so
acceptable to be jealous of that. Yeah.
and so I am going to bring on a special guest. Um,
Santa?
no, not Santa. No, not Santa. And not Will Ferrell. But we will have a special guest to not replace you, just to sub in for you as if they were supply, to come in and talk with me about the lectionary for the 31st, for New Year's Eve Sunday. For those of you who are preaching on that New Year's Eve, and if you're not, because you've taken that week off like I am, forward this to that preacher, that future episode, so they'll know what to try out. So to everyone, we wish you a happy Advent, for a happy Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and receive the Christ child as the gift he is meant to be.
Amen. And that you are a gift to those who love you and around you, and continue living into the gift that you are. Because
Amen.
after all, that package saved our lives.
Amen to that. And we'll catch you
Amen.
in the next one.
God bless.
God bless. Bye.